Welcome to the garage, Dennis. You know, you're a classic Mopar. You know, anything between 1964 and 1975 has three major ticking time bombs hidden in the factory electrical system, any of which can cause a catastrophic fire. Today, we're showing exactly where these flaws are, especially the infamous bulkhead connector, so you can save your car from becoming a disaster story on the late news. I know you're probably thinking, hey, my car's running perfectly fine, but that's the scary part. These problems never give you warning. These cars, the way they were designed in the early 60s through the 1970s, basically had electrical systems that shoves an immense amount of power through one of the tiniest, weakest points on the firewall. And trust me, it isn't if this is going to happen, it's just when it's going to happen. I've had it happen twice to me, so lessons be learned. It literally will melt wires, cause smoke, and the car will stop running. This whole failure is completely preventable. I'm going to show you right now the good news of you being able to fix it. And you don't even have to be a really good electrician, just competent. And I'm going to walk you through the three most critical fixes step by step. These are things you need to do, so you can actually have a peace of mind while you drive and enjoy your car. Now, the first one is this thing, the bulkhead connector. This was designed in the early 60s as a way to quickly assemble the cars on the line. It worked great until it didn't, because, well, alternators got bigger and these didn't. Every amp your car uses, except when you engage the starter, goes through these two plugs, the black and the red. Think about that for a second. All the juice from the battery, the charge from the alternator, your headlight, your ignition heater fan, all go through all these connectors. The problem is a 1-2 punch in design and age. First of all, these were designed for alternators of less than 50 amps. Second of all, over time, because these are Packard 65 terminals that just have friction, they actually kind of wiggle and get loose. So if you still have your original one, they probably aren't very tight anymore. Now, what happens over time is that dirt and grime and moisture get in there and it causes corrosion. A loose connection will cause high resistance. High resistance creates heat. A lot of it. Think about that. If you have 70 amps running through here and it's corroded, you're literally going from a 12 gauge wire to the equivalent of a 14 gauge wire, but then that wire is corroded. So now there's basically a built-in resistor. And this is where the situation, if the wires and that plastic housing start making smoke and melting, and you'll smell it. And I have seen this a lot of times, even on my own car, where the main power feed terminals, the red and the black wires, actually get black around there, and the entire terminal starts just melting. I mean, when they aren't very tight, you basically have an arc welder running through the firewall. So how do you fix this? Well, we're going to have to take it apart and deep clean it. Now, first and foremost, I cannot stress enough, for any electrical work, disconnect the battery. Seriously, I don't even want you looking at the wires without undoing the positive terminal, always. Now, when you go to them, you have to carefully wiggle out each connector from the bulkhead. Now, they can be, and they're a little tight. There's two little clips on top and bottom, or one on the side, that you have to press down and kind of work them out. And then when you take it out, take a really good look on the inside and see if there's any corrosion or crud or dirt or just anything weird going on in there. And if it's black and it has any other type of sooty evidence of it getting hot, then you're going to need to work on those, especially the black and red wires. Those are the ones that are going to have the most amperage running through them. Now, to do this right, you need to clean the terminals with like a file or a brush. But I actually had a video here where I made out of a nail file a little cleaning tool. And it's very abrasive, and it gets into the connectors without spreading them apart. So just take a look at that video here. You want to go in there, and you can use a little bit of cleaner with it. Don't use brake clean, but use like car clean or electrical cleaner and go in there and spray it and use this and wipe it off and clean them till they're shiny. And do the same thing for the studs. Clean them until they're shiny. You'll see when they're shiny. And it takes some time, but make sure that they are nice and good. And then for the female side, go in there and make sure with a little pick, go and make them a little tighter. And the same thing on the males. They have a little lip on them. Bring that out so when you lock them together, it locks in nice and tight. Before you put it back together, use dielectric grease. Now, dielectric grease, it doesn't make the connections more conductive, but what it does is that it seals out moisture and dirt. It's very important on any type of connector that's facing outside to have a lot of this on there. Now, the second thing that is a absolute ticking time bomb is the charging circuit. Now, the charging, once you clean that bulkhead connector, now you need to address the second major flaw that Chrysler did on these cars. It was the charging circuit. The amp meter on your dash showing the charge and discharge is just a gauge, but it's a major intersection of your entire electrical system. Now I'm going to put up a wiring schematic for my charger. You can see the insane path the electricity takes in these cars. It goes from the alternator through the bulkhead connector, up into the instruments cluster, across the amp meter, back down, and then through the steering column, then gets down to the distribution point, goes to everything in the dash, and then there's a wire that goes back out to the alternator to charge it. That is literally how this charging system works. It is absolutely insane. So every amp, and I mean that, every amp your car is using goes through this entire maze of wiring, winding all through your dash. Now, this was set up basically for anything under 50 amp alternators. Now, if you have a modern alternator, when I mean modern, anything over 65 amps, or if you added a fuel pump, an electric fan, a stereo, anything that draws more power, that's going to put a huge strain on basically all the undersized wiring that Chrysler used way back in the day. And that's going to generate some heat. And this is a really major reason why those connections fail. The solution for all that charging current to pick an easier path is done through Ohm's law. Very simple. Path of least resistance. This is very similar to what I'm going to show you is very similar to what the factory service manual had a service on 65 amp alternators when they were new. The only difference is that we're not cutting any wires. We're running a bypass directly to the battery. Now, you have to run a new, very heavy gauge wire, and at minimum 10 gauge, but there's a calculator online where you put the distance and the amperage, and it'll tell you how much wire you need to run. And you run that from the stud of the alternator all the way around the back, so you can make it blend right in with the rest of your wiring, to the stud on the starter relay where the battery connects. This is a really shorter, more direct route for the electricity to go through, and the amperage will follow this path. And that's what you are very concerned about, not the voltage, the amperage. And so now all that amperage will be flowing when the alternator is spinning up high through that main wire, directly charging the battery, which is what you want it to do. And it will now not be going through that bulkhead connector and going up to the amp meter and everything else. Now, your amp meter will show a discharge because it is not getting all the amps anymore, but that doesn't matter. You could always put a little voltage meter in your cigarette lighter, and you'll be able to actually see what the actual voltage is, which is very important too. The next part of this whole bypass wire is you must install a fusible link on this. This is not negotiable. You must do this right at the starter relay. You do this because if that alternator shorts out, and Chrysler alternators are notorious for shorting out, it is designed to burn up before everything else burns up. Now, a good rule of thumb is that the fusible link should be 4 gauges higher than the wire you initially used. So like if it's 10, you use a 14. And these are available on Amazon or your local parts store. If you like this video so far, give it a like below Hey, and if you have any other issues with your electrical system or any other thing you want me to talk about on your classic car, Mopar or Ford or Chevy, hit it in the comments below. Now, while I'm talking about, I mentioned the amp meter. I can already hear the online keyboard warriors screaming about the amp meter, and I don't know what I'm talking about because we're supposed to just disconnect it. The amp meter is not a lithium battery. It doesn't just combust because. They usually have issues because of a higher amperage than they're actually able to handle, or they're damaged, or the wires weren't connected correctly. So if the wires are connected correctly and it's still in very nice shape, doing this, you can still leave that amp meter in there and it won't cause any issues. The amp meter, when it is just sitting there in good condition, is not a fire hazard. Just bear with me on that. It really, once you reduce the strain, that amp meter is going to be perfectly fine. Punctuate this even more. When they did the bypass on the cars in the factory manual, and I'll show the page right here, they actually leave the amp meter connected. So it went through the amp meter, except they kept it, they went through the firewall and then they made it not go through the rest of the dash. It was just to keep it from burning up the rest of the wire inside the car. But the factory didn't do this bypass thing because they wanted the amp meter to still read accurately because they're engineers. So we're going to move, since we now moved all the stuff in the engine compartment, let's go to the third ticking time bomb, which is your ignition switch connector. This thing under the dash. This plug is the gateway for all the power in the ignition system. I mean, everything runs through this switch because Chrysler didn't like to use relays. Go figure. It's essentially everything comes to life when you turn the key. Just like the bulkhead connector is subject to decades of vibration and high current flow, heat, and also the plastic becoming brittle. Over time, the terminals inside the connectors corrode, they lose attention. The poor connection creates high resistance, and the high resistance generates tons of heat. And you can see this on mine right here, that it turned dark and it melted a little bit and it turned black. The other issues you'll have when this starts going bad is that the car will intermittently stall or not start. Worst of all is that you can have a fire start right underneath the steering column from this connector being shorted out. And this is just as critical as the bulkhead connector. Now, the fix requires you to use some yoga and get under the dash of your car. Remember, once again, disconnect that battery and you carefully unplug the two halves of the connector. And be very gentle with it because, especially if it's an original one, it will be brittle. Now look inside the plastic connector and see that switches to see if there's been any melting or turned black. And that's a dead giveaway. You'll know before you even take it apart. What do you see damaged or not? The next step is to clean the terminals, and this you're going to have to use like a little wire brush to get inside the females, and you can just clean the outside with a file. Use a little bit of electrical cleaner on them. And once they're clean, if anything feels loose or they're moving up and down, take a little pick and make them a little bit wider so they sit nice and tight. If yours is damaged like mine is, and I was able to get the one from the switch from the column down, I just replaced that. But the body side has been impossible to find for years. And I just found it on eBay and also at Rossville Motor Parts. And here are the links. The links will be down below, and I'll even put the names here and in the description below, so you can replace both sides and actually give you the right size pins. I would suggest buying good pliers to be able to make the connections nice and tight. Now, once everything's all clean and all in good nick, put dielectric grease on the terminals once again to keep moisture and dirt and stuff out, and plug them in nice and tight. Make sure there's no wiggling and that nothing feels loose. This will go a long way for any charging issues you have or any other weird things that are happening with your car, because that connector is basically another massive connection point where everything runs through to make the car work. All right, if you have stuck with this far, thank you very much. And I'm glad that you want to learn more about protecting your Mopar and the silly things I've had to do it. And, do me something really happy. Hit like below. And if you learn something, hey, if you like car stuff, subscribe. Tell your friends. Even hype this. And all my videos are geared toward car guys. And I do focus mainly Mopars, but I do talk about BMWs because I have those too. This is just a car guy's channel. Now, I want to hear your comments below. Any horror stories, tips, or whatever things that you've done with your electrical system on your Mopar, because you've had to. If you've owned it for any amount of time, you've been working on it. Let me know about any of those crispy, melted bulkhead or ignition connectors in your car, or any other thing that's gone weird on it. There it is. There's the those 3 really scary time bombs diffused. By just doing deep cleaning, doing a bypass on it, and servicing that connector to make sure everything's really good there, you've addressed the most common and dangerous things that can be going wrong with your classic Mopar. I'm not just making your car more reliable, but you're actually kind of fireproofing it. With that, if you have something fun, or something cool, I guess, or something fun, take them out. And now that they're safer, it'll be great, because it'll make someone's day, probably your own. And I will catch you really soon. Please